Good afternoon, everyone. It is afternoon by about 2 minutes. So, yay. Glad you could join us for today's session. I am super excited because, like many of you, I don't get to attend all of the CalSPER sessions that I want to attend. So, this webinar is one that I would have loved to attend in person at the San Diego 2025 conference. But as Clarissa and I were talking about before we let you all in, I was actually in another room. So I didn't get to come and hang out and look at this. But I'm super curious about what this story, how it all unfolded, how they recovered from it. And I love, Clarissa, that you called it "Don't Waste the Crisis." Like, I think a lot of us don't ever look at a crisis with any opportunity for there to be something positive out of it. So that definitely piqued people's interest. Before we get started, I want to let you know some of the housekeeping things. Clarissa has offered to entertain your questions at any time throughout the session. So if you want to put them in the chat, I will be monitoring the chat and call her attention to it. Or if you just want to unmute yourself and ask your question, she's open to that as well. By the way, I am Trinette Marquis. I am your executive director in case we haven't met before. And I'm going to start with what I always do, which is embarrass the speaker a little bit by reading all the cool things about them. Clarissa Trejo is a seasoned professional with more than 25 years of expertise in marketing, communications, and sales, having served in leadership roles across three industry-leading international corporations and one of California's largest school districts. Her career is marked by a consistent record of growth driven by strategic innovation and a deep commitment to excellence in communication. In her current role as the Executive Director of Marketing Communication at Fontana, Clarissa plays a vital role in managing communications from the superintendent's office, overseeing media relations and press activities, fostering community relationships, executing district-wide marketing strategies. That's a lot. She shared with me that she joined Fontana 2 months before COVID hit, so that was fantastic timing. During the pandemic, she provided crucial leadership, developing innovative solutions to engage educational partners during a challenging period of distance learning. Remember all that, you guys? Under her guidance, social media engagement quadrupled, and the district's visibility in both local and national media significantly increased. Clarissa's prior roles have further sharpened her skills in brand management, PR, and sales. At Crown Poly Inc., she successfully launched and expanded sustainable product lines, drove annual online sales growth more than 65%, and led a comprehensive rebranding effort that enhanced market visibility. During her tenure at Kubota Tractor, you really do have some diversity in your background. She achieved a 250% increase in web traffic, significantly improved SEO, and developed a robust digital CRM strategy. She holds a master's of business administration from University of Redlands and a bachelor's in science business from the University of Notre Dame. Wow, Clarissa, we are so lucky to have you today and that you are generous enough not only to present in person in 2025, but to come back and offer it again. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You are kind of what CalSPER is all about, just the wisdom that you have and your generosity and spirit in sharing it with everybody. So without further ado, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeanette. It's kind of weird hearing all of the stuff that about yourself. I'm not used to that. I'm used to talking about everybody else. So thank you so much for having me today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everyone. So thank you all for joining me today for Don't Waste the Crisis, how to turn a negative media story into a positive for your district. As Jeanette said, my name is Clarissa Trejo. I'm the Executive Director of Marketing Communication for Fontana Unified School District. And I want to start off by just talking about, as PR professionals, I think it's really important that we remember that PR crises are part of the job and they're going to happen. So When just really quick, show of hands in the chat, like how many of you have already dealt with PR crisis in your current role where you've had some kind of media related issues that you've had to deal with? If you want to throw up a little hand. Yeah, that's what we signed up for. So I wanted just to remind everybody that there are some things to understand about being in this role. And the first thing really is that you are going to face PR crisis situations. I know for me, the fact that I work in a big district, we have 3,200 students or 32,000 students and over 3,000 employees. Somebody's going to say something or do something that they shouldn't be doing. And I'm going to be expected to help minimize that situation. And that's the same with all of you. Your job is to figure out how to minimize the situation so that it has little impact on your district. Whatever that situation may be, you're most likely going to encounter some really strong reactions from the community about that and the district's handling, regardless of how you handle it. You will have some strong reactions. And sometimes you're going to receive negative media attention, at the very least, some negative social media posts about it. The sooner that you understand that and that there's nothing you can do to stop it, the more I think effective you will be in your role. Because I believe that all of our superintendents and our boards of education expect us to come in and be the hero and fix the problem. So just some things to remember that you can do. It's really important to take immediate action. I think trying to shy away from an issue when you know that it's there is the absolute worst thing you can do. By taking control of the situation, you can control the narrative, and also it helps stop any kind of assumptions or accusations that may come up based on the situation at hand. Also, looking to foster creative, positive changes and learn from the situation. That's why I said, don't waste the crisis. It's really about finding ways to grow. We all make mistakes. We all have shortcomings, and there are things that we maybe didn't anticipate, but looking for ways to improve your district as a whole and learn from the situation, I think is key. And then lastly, really building a strong media relationship and utilizing those relationships to your advantage when the situation arises that you have a negative situations or negative stories that come forward. I think those media relations are a really big asset that we as school PR professionals have to utilize. So the example that I'm sharing with you, just to give you a little bit of background on this clip is actually the breaking story that broke this story in 2023. What happened was we had a teacher who was a middle school teacher teaching a lesson utilizing an excerpt from Mark Twain that included the N-word. Students in her class saw the excerpt and decided to ask her what the word spells. And her reaction was recorded, and this is what happened.
We begin tonight with the story new at 6. A teacher caught on video repeatedly using a racial slur during a middle school class in Fontana.
Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan has the video and reaction, including how the school district is now responding.
I was just thinking, dang, this teacher's out of her mind.
We're not showing her face or using her name, but this student, who is African American, says she shot this.
Clarissa, I think it stopped.
Oh, sorry about that.
Video in her language arts class at Sequoia Middle School in Fontana, showing her teacher using the N-word over and over and over again.
You asked me how to spell it, so go ahead and pronounce it. Pronounce it after me.
she was trying to force him to say the word, and she repeatedly kept saying it, and she had a smirk on her face.
And how many times did she say it?
Probably, she said it a lot of times, probably like 15 or more.
How did the issue come up? Well, according to several students, the class was reading a Mark Twain novel when someone asked the teacher about the spelling of the N-word. That's what prompted this reaction from the teacher.
The teacher got in front of the class and she was saying that this word is just an English word and everybody could say if she wants to, it's in the dictionary, and that people are oversensitive over the word.
What do you think about that?
Not acceptable.
Caroline Rivera has 2 students at this school. In her opinion, the teacher needs to be disciplined.
Of course, pulling the teacher out. Maybe going through training again.
The Fontana Unified School District would not comment on whether this teacher was disciplined or not, but did provide a statement that read, in part, quote, "While we acknowledge that this derogatory language comes from a novel first published in the late 1800s, and that historical context is important to consider when discussing literature, the district does not condone the language that was used in the video or using that language outside the context of discussing the novel." We reached the teacher by phone, but she told us she did not want to comment on the video. In Fontana, Rob McMillan, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC.
So just to give you an idea of the timeline of events, as you can see, that is definitely not the kind of story that any district wants to be out there. The incident happened on a Thursday, March 30th. The following Monday, the video was posted to social media. By Wednesday, ABC 7, our local LA affiliate, broke the story. The next day, we had every local TV station in Southern California at our school. And by Saturday, the story had been picked up on national news stations. In addition to that, what we saw on the back end from the district side, which is where a lot of missteps took place, is that on Friday, a parent complained and reported the incident to the school and to the district. Our HR department was aware of the situation that Friday. On Monday, the PIO who reported to me found the social media post, and we reported it to Human Resources and let them know we would start working on a media statement regarding the situation. And we were told that there was no statement needed and that this was a non-issue. They were aware of it. The teacher did not get removed from the classroom or placed on administrative leave until the following Thursday after all the other news stations had picked up the story. So you can see there are a lot of opportunities to stop the snowball effect here and minimize the situation that did not happen. Now, in fairness to HR, we do have a board policy that says that teachers should be removed from a classroom if they pose a threat to the students. In this case, this teacher didn't necessarily pose a threat to the students. She was not calling any students by the N-word. She was not threatening any students or causing any kind of harm to them per se. She was responding to their question. And that's the argument that the union made to Human Resources. So they were working to protect the teacher in this instance. Now, whether or not that was the right call or the right decision, unfortunately, that is not a comms department decision. But it is our job to pick up the pieces and fix the situation when things go bad and there's a bad decision made. So in this instance, we had to work with what was given to us in this timeline. And the next steps for us was really, how do we recover from these missteps? And for us, really, the first thing that we had to do was be honest about the situation. Once we were able to get a better understanding of what was happening and HR did not stop us from proceeding, we actually released a better statement reaffirming the district and the school stance on racial issues and condemning any use of racial slurs in any context. Also, it's really important to remember that you have to allow for the investigative process to take place. People wanted to know immediately what was happening with this teacher. They wanted us to tell them that we had removed or fired this teacher. And unfortunately, that's not something that we should be doing or saying. We never condemned the teacher, and we did not provide any information about her employment status, because we do need to protect her rights as well. But we needed to be honest about our stance on this topic, and that's what we continue to release and discuss. The other thing that we realized we needed to do is we needed to engage with the community to find positive solutions to this issue. And we're really thankful and fortunate that we have a really great relationship with the city of Fontana, particularly our mayor, who is African American. And she contacted us, and we talked with her right away, like literally the day after the story broke, to say, let's do something together collaboratively as a community to address the issue and discuss it. So we actually issued a joint press release with the city of Fontana announcing that we were going to have a roundtable discussion about race relations and how they impact our schools, and this incident in particular. The press release was released, and about a week and a half after the incident is when we had that meeting. And I will tell you that the meeting was really well attended. We had a packed house, over 200 people in attendance, community members, parents, teachers, students, all came together and had very candid conversations. We had a third-party mediator who came and helped facilitate the meeting and the conversation. And it was such a great turnout that we decided to schedule a second meeting. And we also followed up with the media regarding this. We issued another press release saying this is what the results of this conversation were. These are the topics that came up. And as a result, we're going to have a second meeting where we can discuss further ways to improve race relations and DEI efforts within the community. That information not only was released to the press, but it was also shared with our parents via Parent Square. And also a recap of the meeting was posted on our website to share out with anyone who didn't attend, and even those who did attend, what we got out of that meeting. So this is where I feel like it's really important to make sure that we are taking action, not just talking, to really impact the change in culture of your district. And I will tell you that in the second meeting, the situation had really started to de-escalate because we were actively communicating with our community. I would say half the number of people, maybe even less than half, came for the second meeting to discuss it further. From those meetings, we were able to really create a cultural change in our district. So it wasn't just talking, it was actually impacting how we looked at things. And I think that it's really important to remember that when you have a crisis communication issue where there's negative press, there's always a root cause for that issue. And you can address the negative media, but if you don't address the root cause, you're never going to truly impact change. And we understood that talking wasn't enough, that action was needed in order to regain the trust of our African American community. And as you can see from this list, the district really took a good look and found ways to show the community that we were really committed to doing better. So as you can see, we reinstated our DAPAC. Our District African American Parent Advisory Committee had been dormant since before COVID. And so we brought it back in 2023. We also created a director of DEI position that was filled in November of 2023. And we started offering more teacher and staff DEI training. We had some really powerful PD opportunities that anyone within the district was allowed to attend, not just our teaching staff, but all staff members. In 2024, we expanded our Black History Month celebration. So we really took time to recognize our African American students and their accomplishments in our district. And we created our first district-sponsored HBCU college tour that year. It's one that we continue to offer to our students, and each year we take 30 students, all expenses paid, to go visit some HBCUs back on the East Coast. We had a board policy that was created addressing DEI. And each summer since 2024, we've taken 150 educators throughout the district on Footsteps to Freedom. And any of you who have had the opportunity to attend that tour, it is life-changing. It is really eye-opening and impactful. And so this year we'll have the third group attending. So that's 450 educators within our district who have had that experience now. We also created a district-wide task force for equity and inclusion, and that is staff, parents, students, and community members coming together to discuss issues. And then this is something that's been really near and dear to me, but our board approved the renaming of a school to be named O'Day Short Elementary in September of 2024. And that renaming actually took place this fall in August of 2025. And if you're not familiar with who O'Day Short was or what that story is, I will share that with you in just a moment. But as you can see, we took a lot of steps to really address the root cause that caused this crisis and really impact the culture in our district to be more open and mindful of all cultures within our district and how words can impact our students and our community. Additionally, within the comms department, we had to look at ways to improve efforts on our part for communication and to be more proactive. So one of the main things that we took out of this experience was the impact and the benefit of having these open conversations with our community. And so we started doing coffee with the community, and it's similar to coffee with the principal for those of you who have it, but it's with our district leadership. So our superintendent holds these quarterly meetings within the community. We do morning ones and we do evening ones. And we do them throughout the year in various parts of Fontana because we're a very large district physically. And basically it's a time where we invite our community members, our students, our parents, our staff to come and learn a little bit about what's happening in the district, but also to bring to us any questions or concerns they may have. And what we found is that this is a really great way to engage and understand potential concerns that the community has before they become a crisis. So that has been really huge in helping continue to direct the work within the district. The next one is really something that I feel a lot of us tend to be nervous about, and that's really utilizing the news, our media, and our reporters, our local reporters, as an asset. I think that sometimes we forget that they are a huge asset to us, and we only engage them when we're trying to keep a bad story from being pushed out there. But I think that's the wrong way to look at our newscasters and our media partners. I issue probably between 6 and 10 media advisories and press releases about positive things that are happening in my district. For the media advisories, I'm actually inviting the press to come to events where I really am excited about highlighting something that's happening with either some students, schools, or events that the district is supporting. And when the reporters come to these events, I really try and build a rapport with them. So that way in the future. I'm already telling them about the next event or the next big story, and I'm really pitching them on coming back and doing another story in my district. And I've had a lot of success with that, as well as by inviting them personally to events. In 23 and 24 school year, we actually had 16 positive TV news stories. And for those of you who aren't familiar with where Fontana is in relationship to Los Angeles, which is where all our TV newscasters come from, we're about 40 miles southeast of LA. And in LA traffic terms, that's kind of far. They don't like coming out here, but they will for a good story. So we have really been proactive in soliciting stories from the news to come to our schools and cover stories. Like I said, we had 16 in that school year. The following school year, last school year, we had 21 TV news stories. And this year, we've probably had about 10. So we really pushed on making sure that we're getting TV stories to really impact the impression that people have about our district. And my biggest advice is celebrate everything that's positive in your district. If you don't already have a proactive, positive media plan in place, I put on here that you need 20 positive stories to combat one negative. But I would say if you don't already have positives going out, you really need 50. 20 is once you've already established a baseline of positive stories. 20 stories will positively combat your negative story. I'll give you an example. As Trinette said, I started in 2020, and when I started, I had done a Google search on Fontana schools, and the number one through, 6 or 7 story on that Google search was a racially motivated riot that had taken place at Fontana High School in 2010, 10 years before I started. That showed me that there had been no marketing PR activity, taking place all those years. And so when you look at now, and this is the current Google search, see if it'll take it. Are you guys seeing the Google search? Yeah, okay, great. So you can see here in Fontana schools, this first one has nothing to do with this, it's Ohio. But if you look at all of the other searches here, you can see the first story is actually about board policy that was approved this year, offering voluntary random drug testing for students. The other ones is our O'Day Short Elementary renaming. You can see Harupa Hills High School was featured on CBS News as a Class X school. Some more about the renaming, the drug testing, opening on new preschools. Our CTE students float in a Christmas parade. Our leadership team changes. Elementary school that won a contest and got money to revamp their campus, our Golden Bell Award, so on and so forth. But you see that these are all really positive stories: graduation, safety symposium, our student board member, our new school. I'm continue going down this list. I'm on the 4th list, and there's no negative stories that are impacting our district. In fact, it takes you until the 5th page, I think, actually, maybe even another page now. It's the 6th page before you even get to the story that I shared earlier. So you can see that all of these positives, what ends up happening is whenever you do have a negative story, it's just a blip on the radar. If somebody's searching your school district and you have all these positives in there, it paints a way different picture about who your school is, your district is, and what you're about. So going back to showing the positive stories, what you're really wanting to do is control the narrative with these stories. So I'm going to show you what is probably to this day still one of my favorite stories, and I'll explain to you why after I share it with you.
Enjoy 24-hour access at most Planet Fitness clubs. $1 down, $15 a month. Deal ends February 27th.
Not the ad.
Grip, stability, precision. That's the essence of driving. Lawfin.
A school district in Fontana is righting a wrong by renaming one of its elementary schools to honor a family who broke the color line. KCAL's Rena Nakano shows us how a dedicated young student helped achieve this historic moment.
Next to the portables in the back of Randall Pepper Elementary School in Fontana, there is a peace pole.
It says, "May peace prevail on earth."
It's part of the O'Day Short Family Unity Garden, dedicated last December. The Short family owned this land before the school was built on it in 1950.
I wonder what was his life like?
Cyrus Moss attended Randall Pepper Elementary and wanted to know, who was this O'Day Short?
I went on Google and I did some research about it.
In 1945, successful engineer O'Day Short bought a property on the corner of Randall and Pepper Streets. He, his wife Helen, and 2 children, Barry and Carol Ann, lived in their newly built home, but they were not welcomed by their neighbors.
Times were different back in the 40s. There was a racial divide between Baseline North, where African Americans were allowed to live, and Baseline South, they were not.
Members of the local Chamber of Commerce offered Short that they would buy back this land for its full value, but Short declined. That's when the threats began. On December 16, 1945, his home exploded in a fireball, which eventually killed the entire family. Authorities called it an accident, but an NAACP investigator found the fire was set intentionally.
I just wanted to give justice to him.
Moved by the tragedy, Cyrus says the naming of the Unity Garden in the back of the school was not enough.
I would like to see if we could change the name of Randall Pepper Elementary.
This March, he asked the Fontana Unified School District to rename the school O'Day Short Elementary.
Everybody would have just forgot about it, and it would have been like if it never happened. But it did happen, so then I realized if they weren't going to take charge, I was going to take charge.
He started a petition and collected 150 signatures from the community. This month, the board members cast their vote.
Motion passes 5-0. When you know better, you do better. And so let's memorialize our past, understand our history, and move forward.
Starting with the 2025 school year, Randall Pepper will be known as O'Day Short Elementary, thanks to a young man who fought for the legacy of a family almost forgotten.
I'm just so extremely proud of you.
My goal is to let everybody know what had happened to O'Day Short. Let children of color know that they could do anything, and just let the world know that there's history of this school, Fontana, and this community.
In Fontana, I'm Rena Nakano, KCAL News.
So as you can see, obviously, this is the kind of impression we want of our district and our students and our community, not the prior one. And in this one news article, news broadcast, we were able to highlight our student, our school board, and also show that this district is committed to doing what's right, and that our race relations are important to us versus the other one that was a very negative impression. So I feel like for these types of things, these are the kinds of stories that will really help you to improve and fix your communications crisis situations, because it really helps you to share the narrative that you want out there. And I think really it's important, though, that as a district and as a communications team, you have to be willing to work with your administration and your leadership team to really address the root cause of the situation and the issue, and take proactive steps to minimize the impact of the negative press that you're getting. And these are ways to do that. And just to kind of show you, this is now what O'Day Short Elementary's, the front of the school, looks like. Like I said, we did we did have a renaming ceremony this fall, and the school is officially O'Day Short Elementary, and we actually even have a documentary is in process to tell this story even more. So anyway, that is the end of my formal presentation. Does anyone have any questions, or would anyone like to discuss any of this further?
I'll get the questions started to warm people up.
Sure.
I was wondering about, like, you know, as you stated, sometimes there are departments that we work with that are going by strict policy, but often we have the background and insight to know it's not going to go well for us in the public. So do you have any advice for people on how to push back in a professional way that doesn't harm your relationships with these other folks in your organization?
I think it's really important to understand, like, work with them and say, look, I understand that this is our policy, but just be aware that this is the way that it could be perceived by the public. If we do nothing, even though we're saying this is not grounds to remove her from the classroom, is there anything else? I would ask to see if there's any other compromise or other opportunities. Like in my instance, what should have happened is we should have had further conversations, is asking the question, is there anything else that can be done while you do your investigation? Because the way that this looks, the impression that people are going to have is that we don't care and we're condoning her behavior. Hindsight being 2020, we should have pushed back a little bit more and said, what is the option here? If we can't take her out of the classroom or we can't put her on administrative leave, could we reassign her to the office to do some work there and have somebody come and cover her classroom while we review this further? We have to be similar. I sometimes feel like, as a PR professional, even though I'm not an attorney, I have a similar protective role to make sure that we're not putting the district in harm's way. And I think that my superintendent, I was sharing with you, Trinette, that when this happened, our superintendent was fairly new. So we had not built the trust and rapport that we have now. And I think if we were faced with the same thing now, I could go to my superintendent and say, look, I understand that there's policy and procedure that we have to follow. However, the optics are not going to look good for the district. So is there another option? Is there something else that we can do so that we are not putting ourselves in harm's way? Because that is part of my role and responsibility, is to protect not only my superintendent, but also the district as a whole from putting ourselves into these situations. Also, I would say that, something that we as a communications team with my PIO did learn is just because another department says, oh, we don't need that, kind of stand down, doesn't mean we can't have that work ready to go. Again, in today's, in my role today, I would say proactively, I would have had things ready anyway, and I would have shared it with the superintendent to also alert her without contradicting what human resources was saying or doing. We feel that we are at risk for negative media. Here's a statement if we need it. And that may have prompted her to say, you know what, we need to take action anyway. So it's kind of a softer approach by doing that as well.
Yeah, I love that suggestion, right? Because you're not trying to undermine, you're maintaining the relationship, but you're also saying, hey, I think this might be a risk. This is just ready in case you all change your mind. Love it.
Yes.
We got another question. Do you have a template for your media advisory?
I do have a template that I'm happy to share. I can send one. Trist, I can send it to you to share out with the group. But we absolutely, basically, just to kind of give you an idea, we'll put information that I always like to say, okay, here's the details of the event. But also I try and look at it from the media standpoint. What would be an interesting and exciting story? For instance, So we have a great story that we're getting ready to push out. We have a CTE program at one of our high schools for nursing, and these students take the California board for to be a nurse's assistant, and we always have really great passing rates. But this year we have a 99% pass rate, which is the highest we've ever had. That means like one kid didn't pass, or barely didn't pass. I'm not really even sure how we get that high. But we are going to be pushing out something at the same time of, I guess, May is Nursing Month. So we are going to push it out, talking about in celebration of Nurses Appreciation Month. We are inviting you to celebrate our students. We talk about the testing and the program that we offer, our CTE program, and then that we're going to have this event, and you're welcome to come and talk to our students on this date at this time to really highlight the program and our students, and the fact that this is a great. Why wouldn't you want to talk about it? It's National Nurses Appreciation Month. So we really try and phrase things so that, a lot of the times we have things that are pretty standard across all districts, like free breakfast. We had a whole morning segment 2 years ago on our free lunches and breakfasts. But we had pushed out a media advisory really highlighting the fact that the importance of nutrition and nutritious options. And we really try to give them a hook. So I feel like that's really the most important thing when you have a media advisory, but I can absolutely share an example. But it's a one-page document. It's talking about here's why it's important to the media. Here's the details of the story. And then here's when you can come by to talk to us. And we've had a lot of really great success with them. So we'll absolutely share that with you.
Do we have any other questions from folks?
Yes, Trinette, I have a question. It might be, I think this is a safe space, so I'm curious about this.
You know what, Tony? If you want, I can stop recording so that people can ask more sensitive questions. So hold on one second.
Yeah.
That'd be great.